Hey there YouTube, I'm Yukitsu, this is the Yukitsu Times, welcome to my channel, welcome back to Banished in our town of Times Are Tough, and the times are, not actually all that tough. We've got a huge surplus of food, we've got 21,632 units of food stored up, plenty of every other resource stockpiling in. We've had to dig ourselves some quarries since we're running out of natural rock to harvest on the surface here. We're gonna find ourselves taking out these rocks over here, but that's gonna be in a little bit. It's still not in the greatest position for me to go find that. But yeah, we're doing pretty well here all in all. We've got a huge amount of food coming in, and look at this. This looks like a real sort of town now. It's got that sort of fledgling village look to it, that sort of urbanization that you sort of wanted to look for in something that becomes a city. This is a good nucleus for that sort of thing, and part of the reason it looks like that is that I haven't really interspersed it with my agricultural buildings. This is all sort of industrial and market and mercantile, all right in this sort of central area, as opposed to what I could have done, which is sort of have farms mixed in here and have my population much more dispersed. This is much more heavily concentrated, and that's that sort of look that I wanted to go for, even though it's not necessarily the most efficient. And up here you can see what we're using to feed these guys with. This is our farmland up to the north. We've also got some hunter-gatherer lodges strewn out all over the place, and they were what fed us early on before we got to the state. As you can see, we got this combination of gatherers' hut, hunters' cabins, all over the place here, and they're sort of what gives us a large amount of food with a little amount of workers. But at this point you can see we've got a lot of spare labor. We've got plenty of spare labor, and we don't have to worry too much about the fact that we've got that. So we could in fact have put way more people into agriculture, and that would have saved us in a lot of space. But we're doing that now. That's what we're working on. We're moving further and further out, but as we do that, our population keeps growing. So we keep getting more people, and we end up getting more mouths to feed. But we're ahead on food is the main crux of the thing here. So we don't have to worry about the fact that we're expanding like this. We don't have to be worried about our constant growth. And that means that we can just go ahead and just build away. As you can see, that's exactly what we're doing. We're expanding more stone houses in this sort of central district here, and that will feed into this market to a certain degree. We're also going to sort of build more houses up in this sort of farmland area, and that's going to let us sort of work more of these fields more efficiently, because you can check where people are pathing to, and as you can see, these people are all sort of moving into these areas from these houses here, but then you get like this market here and people are walking all the damn way from down there. So you kind of want to make sure that everybody is coming into their work from as close as possible, and looks like most of our guys are doing exactly that, so we're not too bad off really. And pretty soon we'll be a little bit even better off as soon as we get a few more houses plopped down here. Not too many more. Looks like we're doing fine for the most part. We're in winter. It makes it a little bit awkward to see, but we're going to see if we can fit any houses back here. And looks like we can, so that will be another set of houses. And houses in this game, you can sort of cram them in all sorts of tight little areas, but a little bit too tight there, a little bit. Okay, so we can fit one house in. That's not great, but it'll help. Every little bit helps, and we can in fact just take a little bit of this forest out. I'm willing to do that since we don't need our hunter lodges to work at peak efficiency anymore. We've got plenty of food, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Our hunter-gatherer lodge, our forester lodge will all suffer a little bit. We're going to increase the limit of that just a little bit. Let's actually increase it to 1,000. Okay, there we go. So once we've got sort of this area completely set up, hopefully people won't be traveling quite as often all the way down to there. One of the things that I do need to do though is make sure this place has tools, because I'm not actually producing any tools up here. So we'll get on that eventually, but for now things are going along at a pretty nice pace. As you can see, the other things that we're using to fuel our economy is this sort of mine up here. It's mining iron and coal from this one that lets us build steel instruments instead of the stone ones that we were building before, or iron ones rather. So our little industrial sector over here with the blacksmith, he's building steel tools. They last a lot longer, they work more efficiently. We've got schools which make our citizens educated. Educated citizens work harder. So we're doing pretty well all in all as far as productivity goes. And like, we've got so many different types of foods, we got so many different types of medicines. Most of our markets are bulging at the seams with products, so we are in a good place here. It's just sort of the way that this sort of game goes, is if you get your groove, you can kind of really dominate what's going on. Now, one of the problems I do constantly have is the builders in this game tend to sort of derp around instead of doing what they're supposed to be doing, so just take this thing set to high priority. I'm not really sure where else they are, but let's set these to high priority as well. Actually, this gatherer's hut's done, so we can actually add 4 more gatherers. These actually burned down recently. They were actually built a little while ago, but they burned down, so... Okay, so we can add 2 more of these guys. We're going to reduce the maximum amount by 1, and that is going to be fine. So these quarries chipping away here, that's where we're getting our stone from. We're out of natural stone pretty much. There is some natural stone that we can still find scattered around some places, but for the most part we're going to be relying on quarries from here on out. And you have to find sort of areas that are kind of useless, like we'll probably put one down here if we can fit one. Let's just check actually. We're not going to put it down right now, but we want to see if we can fit a quarry down here. We can fit one here. This area is not actually all that great for anything else, but we might build houses there instead. And yeah, we're basically just looking at a lot of success here, which is quite nice. People, though, are having to travel long distances still, so we're going to keep on figuring out where to put more of our stuff, more and more, and hopefully that will reduce the travel times that our people are going through. Let's go ahead and, actually, who died here? A farmer died of starvation. Okay, well, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's that sort of, they have to walk so far to get to their houses from down south, wherever it is they're going. I'm not really even sure where they're going down south, but they have to walk so far down there that they end up starving to death or freezing to death instead of doing their job properly. I think it might be in winter because they're farmers, they're not working in the fields, so they're counted as laborers. So they're doing odd jobs off elsewhere instead of being in the farms doing farm things. So I'm not really sure how to turn that off. I think it might be because I keep sending them off to do jobs, but they are farmers, so that's kind of what they end up having to do. Let's get that going. And let's do that. Let's see here. One of our foresters died. Let's bring that back up. There we go. Okay, so we got plenty of everything coming in constantly, just big streams. And at this point, it's sort of a little bit tricky to manage everything because there's just so much going on. And basically, you just have to make sure that you're doing the best you can and hoping for the best in a certain degree. We can withstand certain amounts of disaster at this point in time, since we have got so much resources piled up and we've got so many people that losing a couple dozen of them or whatever isn't really a big deal. So we can afford to lose a lot of workers to attrition of various sorts. Yeah, I think my farmers were heading all the way down here to do jobs that I had assigned to my regular worker guys, but that's sort of how the game goes sometimes. We're going to have a really botched up harvest because our farmers were way the hell off away from their actual fields, but it looks like they're back in time to get some work done. Anyway, we're trying to get ourselves set up down in another set of farms to feed the burgeoning populace of our cities here. So that is what's going on down here. We're eventually going to expand this out until it's as big a farmland as our northern community of farms. It's just going to look a little bit more irregular because this is a less sort of regular shaped area. And that's fine. It doesn't have to look perfectly neat and tidy. Now then, let's see if we can fit houses here. Does not look like we can. That's fine though. We can fit them here once we get to here. So let's go ahead and do that. And we're also going to put down a well since we don't want fires to ruin this place. Okay, there we go. And a well over here. And you can see that a well fits there quite nicely, so that's going to be a nice little landmark for the area. We still have a lot of projects being built by our builders. A lot for them to do. They're very busy people, but that's fine. I'm sure that they'll clear off their plates eventually. Yeah, I can see them getting most of the work done, it looks like. Getting jobs bit by bit done. We're eventually going to have to make up a new stone quarry. This one's almost empty, so we're going to actually start building that now as well. But you can sort of see the thought process behind the city and the logic behind what I've done here. As you can see, we've got tons of hide coats, and that's what we're using for currency. Their value is 15 each. And that lets us buy all of the things that we've been buying, like the chicken, cows, sheep that we've got, all the seeds for all the different crops that we're growing. Basically all of that comes from the sale of hides. So I'm a Canadian, so the first thought that I had in a trading outpost was selling furs, because that's sort of what we Canadians do. And that's been a really lucrative way of doing this and looking at this. I think actually this might be made by a Canadian developer as well. I'm not really positive about that though. So I think that there might have been some sort of mental affinity behind that idea that is going on there. Anyway, I'm considering building another mine somewhere around here, but what we're going to do for now is just we're going to clear out this area. It's a little bit closer to my populace, it's a little bit closer to my main population center, so hopefully this will be a little bit faster to clear out for my workers and my laborers without them having to travel as far. And if we look up here, this is actually a pretty good place for a quarry because it's outside the radius of these forestry buildings, and it'll be a little bit out of the way of where I want to expand my farmland as well, since I don't want to expand that direction anyway. So we should be able to build up a mine there, or a quarry rather there, and maybe, yeah, we could actually make mines there as well. So that is an option. Now let's just check through our roster here. We can build 4 more gatherers, so we'll do that. And we actually want to get more population at this point in time. Our population is a little bit lower than we want it to be. I'm going to get rid of some of these vendors because we've got a lot of them, and our markets are mostly full anyway, so we don't really need many more of them. Vendors sort of run around and collect things to put in the market from the supply depots that you plop down everywhere, and then people buy from them, and that's perfectly legitimate. That's fine. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and build another house over here. And our builders are still behind the jobs that I'm giving them, so that's not necessarily all that great, but you know what, that's gonna be fine for now. In fact, I don't really even need them to do what they're doing quite that quickly, so we're gonna reduce the number of them to get the labor count up. That way, hopefully, our farmers will keep doing what they're supposed to be doing, approximately where they are, instead of going wherever. Nomads have arrived at our town hall. What's our population look like right now? It is a lot of adults. We got some students, we got some children, so we've got a fairly aging population right now. I don't really want to get more fully grown people in that sort of circumstance, and that means that I really need to step up production on my houses. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn down those nomads and tell them that they cannot join our city. We have got basically like 300 people living here already, so we don't really need more people, and we don't really need extra workers either, so that is perfectly fine by me. And let's go ahead and expand this road up here a little bit. Okay, so we can build up here and it won't interrupt the little bit of... As you can see, it's outside the radius of these these forestry buildings and these hunter lodges and all that other stuff, so those are good places for us to place down those buildings. And our queue for our poorer builders is growing by the second, but that is fine. And it looks like we're still well stockpiled for it, so they shouldn't have too much of a hard time dealing with that. That's the same one? Yeah, that's the same one, so that's fine. We'll leave that be. Alright, so let's speed this back up again. And yeah, we're just chugging along, doing what we're doing. And at this point in time, what you really want to be focusing on is making sure that the population is close to their jobs. That's all you really need to do. Anything beyond that, pretty much just not that difficult. You can easily feed this larger population. As you can see, we've got tons and tons of food stored away here, and we've got lots of resources coming in every day, so we're okay. We're okay. Let's go ahead and start this though. Okay, so we're gonna keep this a step away from these mountains so that we can get a road past them. Actually, I'm going to put down the road first, and then I'm going to put down the thing past them, so let's... Yeah, because the pathing around mountains is actually a little bit odd. Okay, there we go. And it is this one? Did I actually build that road? I hope I built that road. Yeah, that road's there. Okay, good. So that will come in eventually, and then we'll have even more people coming in through there. Now, one of the things that I dislike about the way this game's sort of panning out is that as much as I've got this concentrated population in here, it's hard for me to figure out how I would possibly or conceivably grow the population around this area and make it more urban, simply because there are not enough jobs really for my peasants in this region to fill. These guys are mostly just generic laborers. Oh crap, one of my buildings is on fire. Okay, well, now you get to see the building fires, and it's right beside my storage barn. Fortunately, everything's been relocated to the market, so just so long as they put it out before it gets to there, to the market, I'm fine. Now, it's probably going to burn down, like, my storage barn, these buildings here. We have got a well, so you can see people going to the well to try and put out the fire, but they're grossly ineffective at this. We are going to reduce the number of builders that we've got down to 0, just so that they'll, we'll keep it at a few actually, but we're trying to just make sure that these people fight the fire wherever they can instead of doing other things. And as you can see, our storage barn caught fire, so there's nothing really that we can do as players, and you just have to rebuild, let the fire take its toll, and then, yeah, rebuild. Pretty simple, you just hit this rebuild button. I think that the fire is largely actually being controlled pretty well here, actually. No, actually, that's gutting quite a bit of the city again. Fires are quite annoying in this game. Okay. But yeah, that well did help mitigate some of the damage. It really could have gotten a lot more out of hand than it did. So that's not too bad. That wasn't the worst that could ever happen. So the people who lived there are going to all be living in the boarding house for now, and they'll have to hold tight for a little while we get these houses back online. I am going to prioritize rebuilding their houses so that they don't live in that boarding house for too long, and new families would have moved into these new houses anyway, so they wouldn't have gotten to live in that, or they would have gone in there and lived in that anyway. But yeah, we might want to build some more wells, just because I am getting a lot more fires than I really enjoy, because any fire is more fires than I really enjoy. Okay, I think that the game would probably benefit if it had some means of combating it other than just like have well, because people don't seem to actually use them. It just Alright, so yeah, let's plop down some more wells. And hopefully that will help things a little bit. Yeah, I've had something like 4 or 5 fires in this game. It's not too bad, but they are annoying. They do cost a lot of resources to fix. So already we're pretty much going to be back in gear. You can see that you salvage some of the stuff from it, but not all of it. So we're still going to be down quite a few resources. Alright, so we need more builders because a lot of those guys are now on rebuilding duty. And we're short on firewood, that's fine. Let's see here. Okay, so yeah, this one's gonna get delayed because we prioritized other things, but that's fine. This thing is going to take bloody forever, but that's also fine. And these are going to also get delayed because of what we prioritize, but you know what? It's what you have to do sometimes. It's not the most pleasant thing, but it is the only thing. Alright. So this quarry here is really starting to get empty. The thing about quarries is that even if you demolish them, there's still going to be an impassable block there because you kind of dug out all the soil. So there's nothing there anymore, and that means that we can't use this land for anything. That's why you want to pick a useless area for your quarries and mines. Some places that just have no real economic value other than as a quarry or mine. So that's going to be our use of that. Anyway, yeah, things are chugging along and they look pretty good so far. We want to be able to build more stuff with our builders. We want to build more farms, but we can't right now. We're just too screwed as far as everything else goes. We're going to slow this down a little bit. Okay, I need to check. Do we have apple seeds or do we have pear seeds? No, we do not. So we're going to get both of those. It is 167, so it is 334 for 2. And we're overpaying by 10 units, but this is why coats are such a good commodity. It would take us literally 2,500 food items to buy one thing of seeds, so we're going to go ahead and trade for that. We don't even have anywhere to place those right now, but we're going to buy them anyway because that's the sort of people we are. We've got cherry orchard down there, we've got like walnuts, got chestnuts, we got plums, so we got all kinds of orchards. And they're producing their wares for the good people of the city, and yeah, things are going pretty well. You want to have a diverse diet. Apparently, I'm not really sure why, but apparently people seem to struggle when you're trying to feed people just venison, I found, but I'm not really sure what exactly it was about that. Maybe that wasn't actually a problem, maybe it was something else that was doing it, but you know, that's what happens when you're fiddling around and just testing stuff. Sometimes stuff perplexes you completely. Okay, so things are going along pretty well now. I think we're just about... Someone coming up... Oh, damn it. Yeah, some people are still going all the way from down there for their jobs here. Yeah, so we're going to want to continue building more houses up in this area, it looks like, so that people stop having to walk all the way. We'll build, I think, 2 more houses, and that should cover it. There we go. And our poor overworked builders still have no hope in hell of finishing all the jobs I've given them. That's fine. They're almost done these 4 things here, so that'll let them off the hook a little bit. I'm going to speed this all along a little bit here. And once these guys have got new houses, they've already moved out. That's a little bit disconcerting. I hope they haven't died or anything. We have got a lot of people dying of old age, though. We did have, as I said, a fairly aging populace, which, it's not too bad. It's not the worst thing that can happen to your populace. Yeah, like crushed by a rock, that's what can happen to you if you're not dying of old age. So, remember kids, try to die of old age. Something there. Can I make a tunnel through here? Nope. Interesting. Oh no, that's not a tunnel option. Okay. I want to see if I can do that now. Okay, well, whatever. There's something blocking me there that I would really like to get rid of, but unfortunately there's nothing of that nature in this game, so I'm just going to have to deal with it. I'm considering building an orchard down here. I do actually like trees, natural trees in city areas, but we've got so many people building stuff already that we're going to have to lay off that for a bit. Let's go ahead and add 2 more of those guys. And that ought to help us out a bit. Okay, so as long as people are still dying of old age and not of hunger, despite, like, what the hell is wrong with these people? Like, what were they doing all the way up there? If I had to guess, they were collecting stone or building this quarry, but that's okay. That's acceptable. Okay, and let's see if these houses are going to have had any effect whatsoever. No, we're still getting people coming from way the hell down in the city. Kind of the opposite of what you want people to be doing. You want people to be going out from the countryside into the city, but no one's starving to death right yet, so that is fine. So what my plan for the city is I'm probably going to grow out the city in every direction here. As you can see, I already demolished some of the forestry stuff here, and I'm using it to make room for more houses. At this point in time, though, I kind of need another blacksmith to service this area. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to build a blacksmith up along here. In fact, I'll map out where I'm going to do that right now. So I'll build one just sort of along this stone road here up here. And that will service this area so that I don't have to get my blacksmith stuff coming all the way from down here. That should save a guy a trip, but eventually we're also going to want one down all the way here. We're going to expand this farmland out across these little areas here, over to here in particular. This looks to be like one of the best expanses of potential farmland in the map here, so we're going to really heavily exploit that. And there's plenty of stone and other things there to go along with that as we get it. So once we've built over to there, we're going to take advantage of all of those good resources. As you can see though, this place is already pretty self-sufficient, and they're just sort of feeding into this little storage barn over here. We'll probably build a market someplace around this island as we go along, or somewhere else maybe. But we're also going to want to build another fishery over here because we finally got this lake, and it's one of the few lakes on this map. As you can see, there's another one way up here, but I don't really know if I want to build a fishery there just because it's so far away from any of my centers. But we're going to also expand out this way and demolish the gatherer's hut and everything here. To replace that, we could build another one over here and just sort of leapfrog our village outwards as we expand. And that might be the way that we do this. I think that might be a good way to do this at any rate. Anyway, that's our look at the game for now. I hope that you found this enjoyable and informative, and as always, I hope to see you all next time.